Josh and Frankie. What a couple of dumb shits.
Hello, primates! You found Primus Tracks. Congratulations! We are at Primus Tracks on Instagram and Threads. PrimusTracksPod@gmail.com is the email address, and there is a Facebook page. It's called Primus Tracks, and it is run by one Frankie Berestein. Today's episode is a special one. As we move into the Colonel Claypool's Bucket of Bernie Brains era, we wanted to mark the 20th anniversary of the band's lone studio release and supporting tour with a look back at such a unique project. And to that end, I asked our good friend Tim Soya about the possibility of getting Brain Mantia to join us to talk about the band. Brain was into it, but Soya's one condition was that we had to make it a surprise for Frankie. So after some wrangling over dates and times, and irritating Frankie with my intransigence at making any changes, the reveal sounded like this.
Holy shit. Hi, Brain.
Hey, how's it going?
Damn.
Surprise!
Jeez. Jesus Christ.
I do anything
Holy
for
shit.
Tim Soya.
Holy shit.
And just to add to the proceedings, Soya talked another member of the band into dropping by, and when Les Claypool entered the call, Frankie's reaction was,
Whoa, who's that guy?
there he is!
Frankie!
Damn.
He had 5, man. That guy's
Holy
a
shit. What the hell?
There's the Colonel right there!
Jesus Christ.
Holy shit. That's a rad look.
And you guys are already drunk, I can tell.
Nobody was drunk. Except maybe Soya. Massive thanks and props to Soya for getting both Brain and Les to discuss Colonel Claypool's Bucket of Bernie Brains with us and to start our exploration of the band and album off in a truly extraordinary fashion. Thanks, too, to Les and Brain for their time and insights. It's time to make the Bernie Brains. Well, thank you guys both for coming, and Soya, once again, thanks for doing this. So, Soya probably filled you in. We want to talk about Bucket of Bernie Brains. It's been 20 years, for crying out loud, and we're just getting to it on the podcast in our chronology. We thought it'd be great to talk to some of the principles around just the nature of the band and putting it all together. So hopefully you guys are down for going down memory lane today.
Yeah. It was all Les. Les put it together.
I don't think I did, actually.
As the story goes, I think David Lefkowitz was trying to get Bill Laswell and Brain and Bucket and Bernie to play at that Bonnaroo.
All I remember is Les called and said, do you want to show up to Bonnaroo and nobody knows anything and we're just going to go on stage? I swear, that's kind of how I remember it.
Is that really what I did?
Yeah, dude, you were the one who, I think you said we should go and nobody should know like one thing we're going to play. We're just going to go on stage. And I think I remember you said, Bernie, you just go out there first.
Oh, yeah.
And Bernie started playing, Bernie's like, I mean, he can probably just be out there by himself for like a full hour and people would just be like, whoa, what's going on? And I just remember he went out there and started playing, these things, and then he'll start a funk thing, and I think we just went. That's how I remember it. It was less. I just remember getting, this saying we're not gonna, and not one. I don't even think we discussed one thing. I think we were in the box, and I remember we just went on. That's how I remember it.
All right.
That's the story.
But that's what, dude, you don't remember it that way?
I remember it as I was playing Bonnaroo with one of my projects. I don't remember if it was Frog Brigade or what it was. Or Prime. I don't remember, to be honest with you.
Frog Brigade, yeah.
And then Dave said, hey, Praxis was supposed to play, but Bill can't make it. And I was like, well, shit, let's just go. I'll play. And we just go and we just play. We just make it up as we go.
Right.
And that's how it all got going. And we got to the gig, And Bucket's like, okay, so and Bernie were like, so what are we doing? What I said, let's just go up and play. And they, well, what key? I was like, who cares? Let's just go. And I think it was you said, no, just send Bernie up by himself first. Send him up by himself. I was like, okay. And Bernie went up and did his thing, which became standard for all the Bucket of Bernie Brain shows, that Bernie would just go up and kind of be the warm up. He was amazing. I mean, Bernie was the master, and he would just go up and just start entertaining people, and then we would trickle up on stage and start making sounds.
Mm-hmm. I'm really interested in that fully improvised mindset. So you guys meet up off stage just for a few minutes and then make this plan. So what was the impetus for making it demanding, perhaps, that it would be fully improvised?
Pure laziness.
There was no rehearsals. It was like, let's go. Had to be it. Right?
I was there, and it was like, obviously everybody could play, and it was like it was one big safety net. It was like if I fell off the stage, I knew the rest of the guys could handle it. If any one of us fell out, any one of the other guys could handle it on their own. Even if everybody fell out, one of each of us individually could carry the show, I think, because everybody could play and everybody had a sense of being comfortable on stage, Yeah.
And it does seem like you all had that opportunity, because Bernie came on, Brain had a drum solo, Bucket played a couple of his tunes as kind of segues. So everybody had an opportunity to take the stage on their own. I'm curious too about because you'd been in the jam scene for a couple of years at that point. Do you think you would have taken that same approach in like 1996 or something if you had the opportunity?
Shit, I have no idea.
96 was full on Punch Bowl, dude. What are you talking about?
Oh, sure, but like if you got approached in 96, do you want to do this fully improv thing with your friends? I just wonder if you felt more comfortable just having been in the jam scene for a while and having done a lot of improvisation at that point.
I mean, possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I had never played with Bernie before, but I assumed that he could fucking play. But I Brain and Bucket, and I knew that we could just cool shit would come out if we just got up there and played. So, I mean, yes, I would imagine that definitely the jam scene opened my eyes to the notion of, hey, people want to see you go to the edge and potentially fuck up. It's like going to a car race, it's like people won't admit it, but they want to see a car crash. They want to see that shit. It's exciting, and I think that's what was, to me, what was compelling about the whole jam scene is, well, wait a minute. They want to see you go to the edge of your abilities and potentially fall over, and they love that shit.
Yeah.
So I think, yes, I was a little more comfortable with that notion at that point for sure.
Okay. And then Brain, you have worked and had worked with all three of the other guys at that point fairly extensively. So what was your mindset going into this, and did the familiarity with Les and Bernie and Bucket help you out?
Yeah, I mean, we did praxis, but I don't think I did anything else with Bernie.
Okay.
And with Bucket, I've always, was playing with Bucket, and then Bucket came on tour with us and with Primus, and I mean, we just kind of had a rapport. But Bernie, I think I didn't really know. I mean, I was actually nervous. I think Bucket and we flew in together, and Bucket's just like, oh, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And I'm like, I don't know. I think we're just gonna go up there and just, and so Bucket was, I was actually kind of nervous because, like Les said, I mean, to fit, I didn't know how long we were going to play. And I didn't know if like, what if there's like, there might be a lull where it's like, like we're all flailing or something. But I think what Les just mentioned about that, everybody, like if I was like, oh, I'm out of ideas for a second, someone else would take over. And then I think after we got past that first show, I think, we just kept going because I think everybody was like, hey, this is kind of cool, to just, make it up on the spot, like literally make it, like I don't think we even talked about a riff or anything. We just went out there. So, then it was exciting. I think that the build up to it was you know, the kind of like, uh-oh, and then when you're on stage, it kind of felt natural, if that makes sense.
And you were in GNR at the time, if I recall. So you were in this.
That's what it was too. I mean, that was such a wear out. I mean, it's not that it was a wear out, but it's more like a job. You know, you had to kind of do the same fills and do the same thing because they were somebody else's music that you had to kind of, you know, like do on a, and it wasn't even like when I was in Primus and I had to, you know, learn Tim's parts or some of Jay's parts or something like that, because there would still be improvisation within that in a sense. Like we would all kind of watch Les and, you know, if he started it, it might be a different tempo because of the way, you know, he felt or something, or the way the crowd felt. Where with like Guns, it was always kind of had to be the same. You know what I mean? So it was fun to do this. And because it was like, wow, you can just kind of be free. And I remember when I first met Bill Burr, he said he was at that show, and he said it was one of his favorite shows. He happened to be in the audience and was like, this is crazy. I can't believe these guys are out here just playing and doing this. So, you know, hearing that people I admire were digging it was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I was in that crowd. That was at the Avalon in LA. I was at that show. I know that was the show that Bill Burr had to live in at. And it was rad.
Yeah, so.
Side note, I got to see GNR with you and Bucket in November of 2002, and it wasn't long after I heard the Bernie Brains recording from Bonnaroo, and so it was kind of a mind fuck. But I got to see it play live, and that was fun. So, big difference. It's obviously the communication was there, and so as a novice musician or talentless musician, whatever you want to say, I don't really hear. I guess I can kind of hear the communication on stage, like in that first gig for Bernie Brains. So what's that like between that dynamic, especially between you two, bass and drums, who are holding it down? So is it a look? Is there some kind of musical thing you guys do to communicate? What's that language like between the two of you?
I think I was been playing with Les for a long time, and I kind of, it took a while. Like, when I first joined Primus, I remember I was nervous because, Tim played a whole different style, and then I had to kind of grow into like, how. Because Les was leading that thing. I always thought, like Les is the lead bass. So I mainly would follow him, at first. And then after a while, and then from there, if he let me go, I would take off into a different thing. But, usually when he plays something, it's solid and I know where to go right away. I never have to really second guess it in a sense. You know what I mean? Like I would just go, he lays it down, and then until I saw Vinny and thought, oh shit, you could have went totally a different direction. But, me, I'm usually just, like to lay it down or whatever.
Yeah.
Les?
Yeah.
I've said this many, many times. It's a conversation. You're having a conversation. Did you plan this conversation we're having here? Maybe you have some notes or something, questions you wanted to ask us. I don't know. But we're having a conversation and we're just reacting to what's being said and voicing our perspectives and blah, blah, blah. And it's the same thing with playing music, and if you got guys or gals that are comfortable just having a conversation and not reading a speech, there's no reason why you can't just react to what's being said. And that's what we did. And I mean, everybody in Bucket of Bernie Brains it's fucking amazing. It's an amazing, amazing band,
And it seemed like everybody had space because it wasn't one person monopolizing the conversation saying, I want to talk about dinosaurs now, or what the musical equivalent of that, right?
Dinosaurs, all right.
Everything I got out of it listening to it when I heard it at first was it was organically created, not like arranged, like here's my song, here's a song, here's a song. They were like bases of music that was created by those guys as opposed to a song, Well,
I think
and they obviously in the end they became songs, but
when we recorded and I think we started making up riffs, and then we thought, hey, we should I think we make it a band and make this song. But I think even after we did that, and we toured on that, it would start, kind of like here's the riff, or here's, the beginning of it, and then it would just go off into other things also. But yeah.
Well, we literally took the tape from Bonnaroo and took little bits and pieces of it and said, okay, let's make a song out of this bit.
Right.
Let's make a song out of this bit. I mean, not the entire album, but a lot of the album, I can't remember which was which, but a lot of it was bits and pieces from that very first Bonnaroo show.
Les, I wanted to ask you about the recording of the album because it's really unique in many aspects. One of them is that for this album, for Bucket of Burning Brains, you used some bass guitars which you never used again in any other recording. For example, the Kramer bass. That's exclusive to that record. What prompted you to reach for these instruments that you had not used in other recordings prior?
I think it was just sitting there, and I don't even know where that thing is. It's, I think it was just sitting there, and I was like, well, let's grab this one. I don't remember, to be honest with you, but I have a feeling it was just kind of sitting there because I'd picked it up at a pawn shop or something. It was very casual,
And we had read somewhere possibly that you used a different bass on every track. Does that sound familiar?
I don't know.
Okay.
No, that's not true because the rainbow bass features on The Big Eyeball in the Sky and Tight Noodles. So that's already two songs with the same bass. I think Les repeated basses, but he did use several different ones.
Well, there you go. Mystery solved. Thanks, Frank.
Brain actually used a different Montanari snare of mine on every song.
I did?
I brought three snares up for that. You used my snare drums on that.
Oh, wow. Sure.
I think I used the DW kit on that one. And didn't Oz record that?
But you made me bring my snares up, and I brought three of my best ones, and you use them on that.
Yeah, no, I love the sounds on that. Yeah.
You were set up in the pool table room on that one, right? I think you were across the hall. Was the first time?
Yeah, I think I did. I think I was on that.
It was like full on drum set with close miking on everything in the pool.
Yeah, we were doing the close miking thing on that.
Yeah,
one. I think I
and
was.
Bernie we brought the B3 into the main room, and he sat right there.
Yeah, we
before
stayed
the
at
API came in. Yeah,
we stayed at the house in San Rafael, I think, all together, and drove up every day to Les's other house because it was. Because I'll never forget, he was like, "Hey, listen to my soundtrack." He said something like that, and it was by the freeway, and he opened up the window or the sliding glass door, and it was just all, and you close it and you go away. But we all stayed there. It was Bernie, I think, Bucket, Bernie, and I stayed at that house, and we drive every day to record.
Amazing.
I have a ton of questions about the record, so. Can we go ahead, Josh?
Why not, Frankie? Have at it.
All right.
As much as these guys can take.
All right. So going track by track, the record opens with Buckethead, which is an absolutely monster song. It's an incredible track, especially when it was performed live. But I've always been curious. You have already done Ballad of Buckethead a few years prior. What prompted you to use Buckethead as the main character once again for a song?
I'm assuming you're asking me?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't remember. I mean, I think he had that riff. What's that? What was the riff? Was that dance, 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 dance? That was one of the riffs we played in Bonnaroo, I think.
Yeah.
And it just, I mean, I really don't know. A lot of times, especially like something like this album or like the Oysterhead record where we were writing it on the fly, it's like looking around the room going, oh, there's the toaster. Let's write a song about the fucking toaster. And that's what it was. It was just like, this sounds like Buckethead, and I just started writing about Buckethead.
So everything about the record was on the spot. It was organic.
Yeah, there was not There was not a lot of. I mean, but that was the whole point of the entire band, is it was spontaneity.
So I'm guessing Thai Noodles was prompted also by the spontaneous sight of the dish somewhere.
Yes.
That's my favorite song on the whole record, by the way.
Names came after, I thought. I don't even think that, you know what I mean? I think that all the names, I think, came after the fact. You know, it was just, I don't think it was like Thai Noodles was even the name of I mean, maybe the Buckethead song was because I think Les had some lyrics or something. But I thought that was your riff, Les, the bam, 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 like he would start that and then we'd come in.
I don't
remember, yeah. But
I mean, a lot of times when we're recording stuff, we'll lay down something that'll be like, oh, this feels like a song. Here, let's make an arrangement. Oh, there's going to be some vocal here. Oh, there's going to be a vocal here. Sometimes there'll already be a chorus. Unfortunately, I just don't remember a lot of this record because I haven't listened to it in years. But sometimes it's right on the spot, but usually it's just a portion, like a chorus or a single verse, and then I'll fill it out later on after everybody's left. I'll sit there and because I don't really like to lay my vocals down with people around. I did much that I did people around.
I know all about that. Even Soya is not allowed in the room.
Oh well, you're the. Yeah, I do it all I do all my vocals by myself. It's very rare that I'll lay vocals down in front of anybody.
There was one track, Tyranny of the Hunt, which is actually the third track on the record for Frankie's chronology.
That's another good one.
Yes. I think I was listening to that Bonnaroo recording, and I'm pretty sure I heard that riff in the Bonnaroo recording, but I think you had started it on the Whamola, which is interesting, but then Bucket plays it on the record.
Yes.
And then I think maybe in the Grapevine book you mentioned you were really into that lyric because, and I believe the quote is, "We're all slaves to our penises." So that was enlightening for me.
That's true, but I think it's actually peni when you're speaking plural of penis.
Oh yeah, the royal we, all of our penises. Sure, peni. Excuse me. I only have one laying around, but
Tyranny of the Hunt. It's I can't remember where I got that. I heard that phrase before, the notion of being of the tyranny of the hunt. I just thought that was a.
I have to say, Les, that Tyranny of the Hunt features one of your most disturbing lyrics ever. It makes me shiver every time I listen to it.
Yeah, what would that be? Because my daughter shivers at a lot of my lyrics. I'm out.
What is it, Frankie? What lyric?
A Petaluma man showed his gala trick. He took a needle full of cocaine and he shot it in his prick. He got the gangrene. The pain wouldn't stop. And when he took a hot bath that night, his speckle floated to the top.
I didn't know that was in there, Les.
My God.
That's hilarious.
I think Soya told that story.
That is a true story from Petaluma.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. I love that song and never realized that was the lyric, dude.
Became a song, you know.
Les, I never knew the lyrics of that song. I love that song and never really read the lyrics. That's hilarious. That is a true story.
Yeah, I think you're the one that told us that story, and we were like,
"That's correct." Dude shot cocaine in his penis and got a gangrene hard-on. He had a 5-day hard-on or something, and his penis went gangrene, and it fell off in the bathtub when he was like trying to like warm. I'm not kidding, dude. That's a real story. Yeah. You're cracking me up, dude. He wrote about that. I didn't even know that. That's a true story. Look it up, man.
Yeah, you told that story many times. That's pretty good.
The gangrenous penis, man.
I remember that.
That'll stick in your head for a while.
Hanging out as friends. Something comes up. It's like, we need a lyric. Boom.
Oh, yeah. Soya talked about the gangrenous penis. There's a lyric.
Josh, before we continue with the next track, I just want to backtrack a little, back to Thai Noodles. Brain, a few years ago, I was having a conversation with Paul Obaldi, who has drummed with Les in many different bands.
Yep.
And I was asking him what was one of the hardest songs that he ever had to learn on the drums while performing with Les. And he told me that he had a really hard time with Thai noodles. He said that song messed him up. And when you listen to the studio version, it's really incredible what you're doing. I mean, right off the gate, the song is filled, it has tons of fills. It doesn't follow a straight line. You're doing all kinds of things on the drum set. And then Buckethead is emulating on the guitar what Bernie is doing on the keyboard. And of course, Les is all over the place with the rainbow bass. I've always thought that from an instrumental point of view, that is one of the most intricate and complex songs on the record. I was going to ask you if that was a conscious decision, but I guess that, as Les explained, everything happened organically. So you heard the bass riff, and then that very complex drum pattern is what you thought would suit the song best?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my favorite ones also. That was like, especially to play live. So, yeah, I don't know why. That was one that I just felt. And I don't know. I think that that part just kind of came through me digging the riff. It's like when you're just like, it happened naturally. Like I never thought about it. It just kind of came out. But like, for me, like it's the best ones are when you don't have to think about it, and it's just kind of like you just jam and you come up with the parts. That's why I thought what Les was saying was true, which is like the best stuff usually comes out of just like jamming, and then then you make the songs after. I think even when we had Stuart Copeland, like helping with that Primus album, he was saying that, some of the best Police ones were made, they would record after they were on, because then they would just jam, they would learn stuff on the road, and then they would come off the road and then record, because they just, they would kind of go through the process of working out all the parts, or just coming up with different parts, or trying different things, almost like how a comedian would like, he's got to go do his bits in small clubs first to just kind of work them out. And then they put the show together at the end or whatever, and then record it, So, yeah, I mean, all that. I think the reason why it was cool was because it was just improvised instead of, what I mean, like worked out before. I think the best stuff comes from when it just happens organically.
Thai Noodles is also a very interesting song in the sense that it never translated live exactly the same as what you guys played on the record. All of the shows from the 2004 tour were available for download as soundboard recordings. I don't know if you guys ever went through them, but there are some songs which you played relatively straightforward, but that was not the case with Thai Noodles. Every single performance of Thai Noodles on those recordings is totally different in terms of length, in terms of structure. Even the way that you started the song each night was different. It's really amazing for me how that song could have so many different variations.
And believe Frankie, he has listened to each one numerous times.
I know those shows inside out.
Is that you could do that? You know what I mean? That's why I like playing in that band so much, because you could actually play. Like all the practicing that I did when I was a kid, I got to utilize it. That was the beauty of what I loved about Bucket of Bernie Brains.
It was an organic jam. The only time I saw it was at that Avalon show in LA, and I think I saw that show before I heard the record, and hanging out with you guys going, oh my God. I mean, I was there for the recording moments, but I didn't hear the record, and I saw you guys play that shit live. It was like, God damn, this is fucking crazy. It was like
that
rad.
Show, yeah. That was a good show. I remember that.
Just that the live show was rad. And then I finally got the record, listened to it. It was not the same, what Frankie's saying,
Moving ahead a little bit, Les, I'm curious about you talked about the in the moment lyrics, and there's at least 3 tracks, maybe we could say 4, that really have to do with the politics of the time and the impending Iraq invasion, excuse me. And it seems like it's stuck in your craw a little bit, or at least maybe it was dominating your headlines or TV, because you have a handful of tunes in which you're airing your grievances. So I'm actually curious, did you get any feedback on those lyrics from people who weren't too thrilled about them?
I mean, I'm sure I did. I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. I mean, it took me years to get even on. So my idea of social media for a long time was going on Craigslist looking for Chrysler parts, and my daughters said, you need to get an Instagram account because you're getting old and your fans are getting old and they're all going to die off. There won't be any legacy left for me. You need to get on the Instagram and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, Jesus Christ, looking in. So I got an Instagram and I basically just post fishing pictures on it most of the time.
Sure.
But I rarely read the comments. I remember even back in the day, in the early Bullboard days, I read the Bullboard and I'd read all this wonderful stuff and I'd read one negative thing and it would just bum me out for like a week. So I never read that stuff. Yeah. So I'm pretty oblivious to what people think of my lyrics or my stances on things or even what I'm wearing. I pay attention to people who I respect, my friends and, my wife. Daughter's harshest critic. But, to me, Adam Gates's opinion means way more to me than any journalist I've ever met. So those are the things that I pay attention to. I very rarely read anything that anybody says about what I do.
I ask because I don't recall any negative commentary on the lyrics at the time in 2004, but then, and maybe it's a product of social media, as you said, the Conspiranoia lyrics rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, or maybe the right people the wrong way. And
because I don't pay attention. I knew every that song. I don't know.
Okay, just curious about that. That's great, though. I mean, that's the right attitude, because if you focus on the negative, of course, it's going to put you in probably the wrong mindset, and you got to move along with your life and your accomplishment, or what you're trying to accomplish, I suppose.
Les, I am extremely curious about Elephant Ghost, because when I hear the studio version, to me it sounds like you guys took an extract from something much longer or much bigger. To me, it sounds like Elephant Ghost on the record is just a sample of a jam that went on and on. Is that the case?
To be honest with you, I couldn't even hum you that song right now. I just don't remember it.
It has no. It's a 10-minute instrumental.
Yeah, that's great.
Brain played the beat for like 10 minutes.
I just don't remember it. I mean, I guess I could have done my homework and listened to the record before I got on here with you guys. So I had just said, you got to get on here. So here I am.
I can play a few seconds for you guys if you want to hear it.
Play it. It might jog some synapse. Sounds great.
Here's Elephant Ghost. I'll forward so you can hear the main parts.
Dub.
You sure that's us?
Yes.
Crazy.
And when
is that a drum machine or you? I can't tell.
The song live, it could go on for even 20 minutes.
That's the greatest song I've ever heard.
What the hell was going on?
It sounded amazing. See, I would listen to that. That's something I would listen to.
That was great. That sounds like some King Tubby shit to me.
Here's a little bit of trivia. Everybody who has seen Les and Primus live, they remember the pig mask, right? If you've seen Les performing solo, you might remember the Elvis mask. But when Les did Elephant Ghost during the 2004 tour, he wore a mask that he never wore again on stage. Do you recall that mask, Les?
I think that's my actual face.
No.
I don't remember. So what?
It looks like some kind of wizard, like an elder, like some kind of magician with this very long beard and white hair. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
It might have been him without the mask, dude.
Probably in the, I have a box of all kinds of stuff that's actually my old toy chest from when I was a little kid. And it's full of all kinds of stuff that has been collected over the years.
Here's Josh, here's a trivia question for you. Let's see if you can guess this one. What is the connection between Over the Falls, the Over the Falls music video and Hip Shot from the Slav track number 5 on the Bucket of Bernie Brains record?
Grandpa.
Absolutely. So
not my grandpa.
Les explained during a live performance of the tour that when he was learning these trades with the tools, this phrase, "What you gonna do about it?" came up very frequently in terms of how are you going to fix that. So when he was learning how to use those tools, I believe that is the tool shed that we see on the music video.
I mean, that's my grandfather's old garage, yes.
Yeah. So Hip Shot from the Slab is basically a song about fixing things, right, Les?
I don't know. I don't I mean, the slab, that's Bucket's world. He was always about the slab.
Mm-hmm.
He's always talking about the slab. So I don't know where Hip Shot from the Slab. I'm not.
It's another instrumental, and the only thing that you say over and over is what you gonna do about it.
Yeah, I love that line. What you gonna do? Yeah, I like that, but I don't remember why. I think it was just another one of those me sitting in front of the microphone with nobody around, just rambling, and something stuck.
Yeah.
That's great. It really is coming to life now, the improvisational nature of all this. And I feel like, it sounds so structured and well put together, but to know that it was just these disparate elements and just kind of looking around the room, it's impressive that it all came together so well and sounds so great.
Well, I mean, it's finger painting, that's what we were doing. It's just, we finger painted this thing together. I think if it was any more thought out or complicated, it wouldn't have been as fun. And the bottom line is we did this for fun. Nobody got rich off this fucking thing. We just did it because it was fun. We all enjoyed each other's company, and we got to play with Bernie Worrell, which was to me still the greatest thing. I've played with a lot of people. I've never played with anybody who was as intuitive, had so much to say, as it was so spontaneous as Bernie. I remember one time, my favorite story from making that record was we needed a solo in this one section of one song, and I don't even remember what the hell song it was. We're all, Bernie, we need you to do a solo here. And he's like, oh, man, I don't know, Les. I think I can only do one take, man. My arthritis, because arthritis would bother me. I always had to wear gloves. It's like, I can only do one take. We're like, okay. So we set him up. We roll the tape. Nas is recording it. And away he goes. And I just remember me and Bucket looking at each other like, and Bucket just had this look on his face like, oh, like it was just the most amazing, magical thing was coming out of him. And it was just one shot and it was perfect. So, and that's the way Bernie was. It's back to that conversation. He was such an interesting human being, and he had the skills to convey that, and he had all the salt and experience of life that it just came out of his fingers through his instrument, and it was amazing every time. I can't think of there being a thing where we went, oh, that's not going to work, Bernie. Let's try something different. No, it was always just amazing.
Yeah.
That's right.
I would love to hear you guys give flowers to the two other guys who aren't here, Bernie and Bucket, and their overall contribution to the band, of course, and that effort, but them as musicians. Because I don't think a lot of people know that Bernie was a de facto member of Talking Heads and was clearly a huge part of Parliament Funkadelic. and has his own solo records that are pretty cool. So take it away. I mean, tell us what's great about those guys.
I have a good Bernie story. When we got done with Bonnaroo, I remember, we were coming off, and I was staying a bucket. We were both kind of like going, dude, that was incredible, man. Hey, that was so cool when you did this. And when Les and you, did that duet. And that was a great, we were like getting high on our own supply. And, we were trying to get Bernie involved. And, we're going, Bernie, wasn't that great? What is that? And he just said, music, fuck music. And he pointed to a girl's thigh and said, that's music. I was like, I'm just a dork. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. I was like, that's Bernie. You know what I mean? I mean, it was like...
He was too good for everybody, man.
I was like, okay, sorry. You're right. I'll shut up.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. I was like, it was incredible. Yeah.
Wow. And then working with Bucket in this context with the Bernie brains had to be really different for him, excuse me. And so what was it? Did you have to get him, because he's got quite a thick shell, did you have to get him out of that shell a bit for this kind of performance and moving forward with it?
No, I mean,
yeah.
Bucket with us he's a friend of ours, he's just one of us. So I think I don't even think of him as having a shell. I think of him as being a bit elusive, but he's just Bucket. And I think with us, he's pretty comfortable in his skin. So, and it's back to that same thing. Every single one of us is a good conversationalist. And, there was never a time either I don't think there was ever a time with any of us where we went, well, that's not going to work. We got to try something different. It was like, wow, we just kept pushing each other and following each other and chasing each other and passing the ball around, or whatever metaphor you want to use. And it just was, and we threw it out there for the world to check out.
Yeah.
There was never any expectations that it was going to be the next Blink 182 record or anything. It's just the thing, four guys that were vibing and a little slice of time, a very small slice of time, that I think was documented in a pretty cool way.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you guys took it another step with these live shows, not just those shows that were full improvisation and then supporting the record on tour in 2004, but you're doing some Bucket things like handing out toys and taking a chainsaw to Piggy. You're making sandwiches for the audience. Where, you're handing out index cards and saying, write this stuff on it. So what was it a conscious choice like that to really involve the audience and bring them in on that?
Nope. We just did it. It was like, hey, there's a balcony up there. All right, up there. And you come up with your chainsaw and cut off the pig's head. And I had all this glitter, this red glitter. And so I put it in my pockets. And as he's cutting off my head, I'm throwing the glitter from under the balcony. And it looked like blood, but it was actually just it wasn't even glitter. It was, what do they call those things? Sequins. It was red sequins. And I'm throwing them, but in the light, it looked like blood. So people were like, oh my God. But it was, we were just, every night we'd be like, well, what are we going to do? Well, there's the deli tray. Let's do something with that. Well, let's make some sandwiches. It was all very casual.
Yeah, that was the New Orleans show, I think. I remember that.
Yeah.
Which one?
That was a good one.
Here's one collaboration that very few people might remember. Only those who have heard all of the 2004 recordings. But on November 3rd, 2004, Don Silva was a guest for Red Hot Mama. And I'm guessing that was instigated by Bernie Worrell because he introduces her very excitedly. Do Brain or Les have any recollection about that collaboration?
Well, wasn't that in Sacramento?
That was the Chris Theater in Sacramento, yes.
Yeah. Well, she was one of the brides of Funkenstein.
Yes.
So we were all freaking out because, that was like masturbatory fodder, the fucking cover of that album, she hot stuff, you know. So it was like, whoa, that was incredible that she was there, you know. Is that
amazing?
Oh, man, sorry, my mic was off, but I was laughing because that was great.
I think my dad was at that show and he hit on her.
You have 18 more.
I'm also curious why Bucket of Bernie Brains prompted the recording of a studio album, and that's something that you have not done with Bastard Jazz, for instance.
Yet.
Well, Bastard Jazz, I don't know if there will ever be a studio record of Bastard Jazz, but we are working on some live stuff. I'm trying to compile a bunch of live stuff. I mean, look, for me, doing something like Bastard Jazz, it's like a vacation band for me. I don't have to rehearse. I don't like rehearsing. I really don't. And the thing is Primus never rehearses because we're so damn lazy. And when we do get together to rehearse, we rehearse like for a couple hours and we go, let's go get some steaks and drink some wine. I mean, we had to rehearse a shitload for that Rush tribute thing, which was actually good for us. But I don't know that there will ever be a Bastard Jazz studio record. I think it kind of defeats the purpose. And I think if we did do it, we'd do like a direct to disc thing with, like, you know, at Jack White's place or something that's just like you can't think about it. You just got to let it flow, you know, one shot deal.
Yeah.
To follow up on that, the Bernie Brains had c2b3live.com where you guys had downloads of each of those shows. And that model, I hope, was successful at the time. Has there been any consideration for doing that with other bands and iterations of what you're doing of late? Or you have other plans, maybe?
You know, it's been asked a lot in the VIPs. People ask if we're going to do that, but I'm not sure if it's productive or counterproductive. You know, it's like I feel like it could convolute any notion of putting out any actual live stuff, and I get a little picky on the sonic quality of this stuff. So we just haven't really done it because we didn't see a big upside from it from the first time we did it. I know we are working on a bunch of live stuff right now, which is also very time consuming because we are so picky and we want to get it sounding right. But I don't really see it coming back.
Yeah.
Liz, do you see the Denver 2018 shows coming out anytime in the horizon?
Oh, I'm sorry, the what?
The Denver 2018 shows from the end of the Ambushing the Storm tour. Both nights at Denver were recorded for a live release, but then it got shelved for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's like everything else. There's so many pots on the stove, and only certain things get pulled forward at certain times. We had a guy that was supposed to be mixing all this stuff for us, and he's kind of fallen out of our world. So now we're working with somebody else, and we had tried working with a couple other people, and it just didn't come together. So it's been a challenge. You know, poor Lur, he's been listening to all these recordings from like 1996. And we've been trying to get those together.
Oh, man.
You know, my son's been working on this documentary. I thought he had gone through like 200 and some odd hours of videotape. He said it was more like 900 hours of videotape. There's just so much stuff. And it's just
I taped all of it.
It's a bit overwhelming. So
you're very much like Prince in that sense that you keep shelving stuff.
I'm exactly like Prince.
I'm looking for more like, you know, Luxembourg 97 at that weird theater with Brain on drums on the Brown tour. Where's that one?
Luxembourg. No, I wanted the Vinny one to come out. I still have nightmares of that show, man. That was probably the greatest thing I've seen in a long time. It was
the Vinny with the jazz bastard.
Oh, yeah. I swear to God, I think about it all the time. It was incredible.
It was unbelievable.
It was unbelievable. Yeah.
It wasn't even slightly expected because
no,
it was like, oh, we're gonna do Bastard Jazz. Stanton can't do it. Well, who are we gonna get? Oh, maybe we should get Chambers. Oh, no. Dennis Chambers does a lot of stuff with Victor Wooten. It would kind of be, let's Vinny Kelly. Oh, let's get Vinny. Okay, I met Vinny before. And Vinny shows up, and he had put on a bunch of weight, and he could hardly walk because his hip was bad. And Skerrick and Mike are like, what the hell? And we had a rehearsal, and it was really not that clicking. And I was like, ooh, shit. So I talked to him a little bit, and then the next day we did because we don't really rehearse for Bastard Jazz. We just kind of did a little warm-up jam. And then we did sound check, and it was a little better because I told him, I said, dude, just think about, got to keep the hippies dancing. And so then we did the sound check, and it was better. But then for the gig, it was like he was like Merv always says, don't leave the fight in the gym. He didn't even freaking show us the fight in the gym. And then we get on stage, and it was like everything he played was just unbelievable.
Brain, you were texting me the whole time, going, dude. I know.
Dude. I kept just going, dude. Wait, dude. No,
I was like, dude, I can't be there. Stop.
Dude, I was sitting right behind him too. Brad let me just sit. Literally, I was as close as I am to this fucking computer, and I was crying, man. I mean, it was, because he's like one of the reasons why I play.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Since I met you, Brain, you've always said Vinny, the hot dog in his back pocket. That's the dude.
Just Vinny Colaiuta. That was my guy. I mean, Terry Bozzio, Vinny, but Vinny, it was just like,
yeah.
But like Les said, he was doing, the whole thing was working. It wasn't just like, everybody was playing great that night or that particular show, the one I saw, but I didn't know. Les told me after that, Vinny was a little weird. We're like, what's wrong? What's going on here? Like that kind of because I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like I couldn't even I didn't even understand some of the stuff he was playing. I was just like, what is he doing right now? It was pretty amazing.
But it was bittersweet because he was having some serious health issues, and he did not look healthy. Like if you closed your eyes, you heard this amazing, amazing thing, and then you open your eyes and you see this guy just barely breathing. It was trippy. I remember Herb watched the video of it a little bit that Brad Sands filmed on his camera, and he was like, "That's Vinny," because he was just in such bad shape. It was before he got his hip surgery, and he'd put on a bunch of weight. It was incredible to see and hear what came out of him, even though he was physically just in not a great space.
Yeah, when he came out of the elevator, I didn't even know that was him. I was sitting next to Brad, and I think Les was backstage. We just had gotten there. It was like Merv and House, and we were sitting there, and then Vinny walked in, and I was like, and Brad's like, oh, there's Vinny right there. And I was like, wait, what? Because I didn't even know he had gained weight. He was like limping, and all this stuff. And I was just like, wow. But, like Les said, if you just, he was just doing stuff I just didn't think you can do over like the parts he was cut. Like, cause I was listening, Les would start something and I would think, okay, what would I play? And then, pretending like I was on stage doing it or whatever. And I'd be like, okay, I'd be kind of doing something like this. Then he came in and I was like, wait, what is going? Like, it was just, he was going in areas that, and I was just like, that's all in here. You know what I mean? He's just a goner.
That's the best.
I don't know, that was one of the best shows I've seen in a while.
It's best that your hero took you out when you thought you knew what your hero was going to do.
I don't.
And he took you out to somewhere else. You're like, what the fuck? God damn it.
It's hard for me to get, I'm getting old. It's hard for me to get excited about anything. And I just was like, what? It just, I was like, I went and just called friends up and I was like, it was, the whole show it was really good. The whole thing.
Nice.
Les went light.
I'd like to hear that one come out.
That's what I heard. Les, right?
What? What was that? What?
You went light. You let Vinny off the hook.
What the hell are you talking about?
You gave him some bass licks and he kind of did some stuffs and you're like, yeah, whatever, dude. He's keeping up.
Are you gonna do it again with Vinny Les or what?
I don't know. I text him every now and again just to see how he's doing. I know he's still, he's not quite 100% yet.
Oh, I listen to his podcast sometimes. It's pretty interesting.
Oh,
He had like Bill Bruford on there.
Oh shoot!
And it was a pretty good one.
Boy, that's a podcast worth listening to. I don't know what you guys are
cool.
doing here.
I'm a Bruford fan also, so it was cool to hear both of them talk.
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah.
You guys have been really kind with your time. I do have a couple other questions. I don't want to keep you too long.
Me too.
I've
got a few more.
Okay, so I'm going to toss one out there, and it's Bernie Brain specific. You mentioned in the book, actually, I think Leanne mentions it in the book, Les, that she had to transcribe your lyrics from this record, and she was swinging and missing a lot. Do you recall some of those that you had to read over and correct?
Everything Leanne transcribed, I have to read and correct. But it's not just her. It's funny because sometimes I'll go online to pull lyrics for songs that we haven't played in a while, and we'll pull them to put on my iPad so I can learn them. And it's amazing how off people are on my lyrics. It blows my mind. What the hell? There was one song in particular. Freaking Lee Van Cleef. There's everything I've read online of my lyrics for Lee Van Cleef. Did I not include them in the record or something? Because they're so completely wrong.
Man, I will say back in 1987, 88, and we were watching Primus play, and you were playing John the Fisherman, and we were like, what's he saying? And I asked you outside the gig or whatever on the back door, you're like, oh yeah, I just say, the tide went up, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, that's what you said? Wow. We had concocted all these lyrics about the way you enunciated it way back then. Hilarious, dude. I have to say, I am perplexed the way you enunciate. It's awesome.
They're all printed, by the way. Lee Van Cleef's in there.
I'm saying this is like when the demo tape came out.
Yeah.
We saw Les Claypool, Jay Lane, and Todd Huth on the demo tape. That's all we saw.
Yeah, those weren't printed. That's fun. So it's been an ongoing problem. That's news to me. That's fascinating.
Josh,
because I'll have my lyrics on my lyric. When I'm writing them, I have my legal pad or whatever composition books. There's just lyrics all over the place in my studio, and a lot of times, even after I write them, I'll augment them as I'm recording them. So, oftentimes someone has to go through and write them down for the liner notes, and I always have to go in and change them. But I actually enjoy it, especially when Leanne would do it, because she'd come up with some pretty wacky stuff that would just make me laugh.
I've heard trying to transcribe it.
Yeah.
Being wrong.
Josh, I got some rapid fire questions, if I may go ahead.
I don't know why you keep asking me. You're the co-host, man.
Les, when we had Cage on the show, we talked extensively about the NFTs. And I've been wondering ever since if you will ever go back to that project and maybe finish those songs. Because I know that at this point, they're just a few second clips. But are you planning to develop them into a full solo album as it was originally intended at some point in the future?
I mean, I should. I just haven't had time. We're trying to finish up this Delirium record this next month, and pretty far into this Billy Strings record. I got a bunch of stuff recorded. It's kind of like when I did the Holy Mackerel record years ago. Basically, that was just an accumulation of songs that I recorded over the years in my bedroom. And I always said these are songs I wouldn't inflict upon the guys in Primus. And that became the Holy Mackerel record. And I kind of have a bunch more of those. And the NFT songs are part of that. The NFT thing was basically I made all these paintings and my son animated them. And we said, well, shit, let's put them out on NFTs. Those seem to be freaking popular things. And then we put them out right as they was imploding, and you were a dick if you made an NFT. So,
Did you sell them and make $1 million?
I made like $5. I don't, you know, and it was in some cryptocurrency I don't even never even heard of. You know, it's like
Steve,
Lyco
Steve
Bitcoin.
Toe.
I don't even know, but yeah, it was not a successful venture. But yes, I would like to finish those songs at some point. They're kind of cool.
You said that you haven't heard Bucket of Burning Brains in a long time. Does that mean that you didn't play the record now that it was released on vinyl as part of the Adverse Jaw box set?
I have a turntable, but I don't even think it's plugged in. I haven't plugged that thing in many years. I'm a creature of convenience. So if I can pull it up on my Spotify as I'm driving if I'm driving the bus, then I listen to it.
Okay.
But most times I don't. There's no stereo in this room that I'm in right now. I don't listen to a lot of music in my spare time. You know, if I do, it's when I'm driving. Usually driving, if I'm driving the bus or something, I'll put on some music. But
Victims
I
family.
very rarely listen to my own stuff. I don't know. I just kind of feel like I've been there, done that. It's time to move forward. It's even hard to do these live records. Like, you know, they're like, oh, listen to this show from '96. Oh, you got to listen to this. And I'm like, ugh.
Yep.
It's like, I don't know. I've already, I kind of don't want to, but I'm doing it because I know people want to hear it. And, so we're working on it, but it's more to, you know, like I just got some mixes of these, Frog Brigade tours from this last summer. You know, hey, we might release that stuff. I still haven't listened to it, and my manager every day goes, "Have you listened to it yet?" And I'm like, "Nope." I'm heading to the Grizz Shack.
I understand if you cannot answer the following question because you don't want to spoil anything, but it's something that I've been very curious about in terms of the upcoming Claypool Lennon Delirium record. Are you going to carry on the Cricket Chronicles with a third installment?
Shit, I don't know. I never even thought about it.
There you go, Frankie.
Well, that's an idea.
That's an idea.
Can we expect to be able to see your paintings in a gallery in the near future?
I mean, there was talk of it, but it's another one of those things. It just kind of didn't happen. I mean, I did all those paintings during COVID because I couldn't bring myself to making music. So I would just sit and do all these paintings, but I haven't painted since. So they were in one of them. Few of them were in some show that Zoltron did.
I saw them in Grass Valley.
Chambers Project.
Chambers Project. I was there, and Zoltron was there.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I didn't buy one. They were hanging. They were very expensive, Les.
They weren't even for sale. What the hell are you talking about? Have another beer. So yeah.
Come on. I'm just trying to have fun.
You can discard this idea, but I just want to put it out there since you're in the process of going through live stuff for a future release. If you could please take a look at Bottom of the Hill, San Francisco, 1998. That's a show that plenty of us diehards would absolutely die to hear because it's one of only 2 instances where you guys did Camelback Cinema. That very well could be one of the rarest Primus songs ever performed live.
Brain,
so
we were there.
That show, that
you
would be
remember
insane.
that?
I remember that show, yeah. Wow, Camelback Cinema.
Yeah, you beat on that one, Brain.
Well,
That's a great song.
Maybe I should put you in charge of getting these live recordings together.
It would be an honor.
More than anybody, you know, because what you have to realize is, and I think it's wonderful. I think it's spectacular and wonderful that this music means so much to some people. Because for me, it's like I just keep thinking moving forward. So it's hard for me to even think about what we did at Bottom of the Hill. So, yeah. I mean, you know, maybe I should have Brad get a hold of you and you can help us.
Well,
it out.
I can honestly tell you, Les, that your music means the world to me. Absolutely.
Well, that's very kind of you.
Those typing sounds you're hearing right now from Frankie's microphone, he's quitting his job. He's putting in his 2 weeks. He's moving to the Bay right now, man. So hopefully
He's
it
waiting
works
for
out.
Brad to contact him.
Yep.
Right now.
Putting the house up for sale. I want to close with this. We've been meandering around, but Brain and Les, I want to hear from you guys. What are your lasting takeaways 20 years on from the Bernie Brains experience, and maybe how it formed or informed how you move forward musically?
I mean, that, to play, like Les was saying, to play, like when sometimes I'll be on the internet and I'll go, or somebody will send me a video of one of the shows, and, just to be grateful that I got to play with Bernie and Les and Bucket and be a part of it. And just, and some of the music, I'm just blown out. Like, I'm just like, wait, we did that? That's crazy. Like, I can't, I mean, I know what Les is saying about like moving forward and stuff like that, but that particular band was special, I think, mainly because, I mean, Bernie is like the Jimi Hendrix of the keyboards, it's like there's never, and it just to be able to have, been a part of that in the way it started also, which I thought was just like crazy, to be like, we're just going to go up and play, and pull it off. It's like that's what I look back. It's for that reason. It stays close with me.
Amazing.
Thanks, Brain.
Well, I think too, it's like, look, I'm not trying to diminish any of this by saying, oh, looking back or looking forward versus looking forward. It's like, my son put together a montage of footage from when they were little tiny kids, when my kids were like, 3, 4 years old, for a Christmas thing. And it was very hard to watch because I missed that. I look at it and I go, obviously we recorded it at the time and it's wonderful. But it also, there's a certain element of melancholy to that too. And that's the same with looking back on old Primus stuff, looking back on old Bucket of Bernie Brain stuff, looking back on this stuff. I look at it and go, wow, that's amazing. But there's also a little element of melancholy to it too, because, that's not happening right now. Bernie's not around. We're all older now. So there is that. That's what I mean by the sense of moving forward. Not so much as I'm pushing that away in a negative way. It's more like sometimes it's hard to look back at that stuff because it does make you sentimental. But as far as Bucket of Bernie Brains, like I said, it was an incredible time with 4 guys that were just firing on all 8 cylinders as a team. And it was so casual that it's incredible that it's as exciting as it is looking back at it, or even at the time, because it was just so, we're in the kitchen just throwing everything we can find into the pot, and we ended up making a pretty good stew, or whatever metaphor you want to use. So I don't know, as far as looking back at it, it makes me miss Bernie a lot.
Yeah.
I just have before you guys leave, I have one tiny request and one comment. I have a lot of questions, but I would like to give priority to the request and the comment. Les, I know this is very hard to ask, but if at any point in the future you could do just one more Oysterhead show,
Oh
it
boy.
doesn't matter if I need to take a raft, 2 planes. It doesn't matter where you play, I will be there. That is my lifelong dream. I need to see Oysterhead live before I die.
So you've never seen Oysterhead live?
I had tickets for both nights in Chicago in 2020, and that broke my heart. So I really, really hope I can see Oysterhead live one day.
Well, the thing I always say about Oysterhead, and we all kind of say it now as a joke, is You don't want Oysterhead to tour because every time we try and tour, some horrific disaster comes about, which was the first tour. The Twin Towers were struck by
9/11, right?
Airplanes, and we had to cancel that tour. And then the second time, COVID. So, we're sort of the harbingers of doom, I guess. But that's the thing is we're all three very busy people, and it's hard to get those schedules to match up. I'm ready to do Oysterhead whenever everybody else is ready. So it'll happen at some point, but I don't know when.
I just have one final comment, Les. You might not even remember this at all, but the last year you flew in to do an interview with Mark Maron.
Yes.
On his podcast. Yes. And you mentioned me on that interview, and that made my whole year. I have a recording of that segment where you talk about me doing the Frog Brigade trivia at Westbury and how I stumped you with my knowledge. And really, if I could travel back in time and tell my 13-year-old self that Les Claypool would mention me in an interview at some point during my life, my reaction would have been utter disbelief. When I was watching the clip of Geddy Lee with you at Rancho Relaxo from his Our Bass Player's Human 2 show, that sensation that you felt when Geddy Lee was there with you, that's exactly what I felt when you mentioned me in your interview. Thank you so much. It meant the world to me as a lifelong fan. And it's something that I am going to cherish for my entire life.
Well, I appreciate you being there. That's it's very humbling and flattering that someone is as excited about the things that we've done as you are. That's an amazing thing. And we might have to tap into that, brother.
My
for shit anymore, and we might need some help with some of this because we're at the point where we're starting to archive things and we're dealing with all this stuff, and it's just so overwhelming.
Yeah.
So, whatever you need, we will be there. Absolutely.
Yeah. My trivia anecdote was I was at one of the Oregon shows and I was in there to watch it. Sanchez helped me out with that, and after every question, I leaned over to my friend and I said, I wrote that question. And that was really fun to do. Les and Brain, thank you guys so much for talking to us about Bernie Brains and all kinds of other topics. You've been very kind with your time. Appreciate it deeply. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. And can I just make one comment?
Please. So
the entire time I've been sitting here because I wasn't expecting to do this. I've been on my phone holding my, you can see I'm holding my phone. And that wonderful fan that's spinning above my head, Soya hates that fan and has been wanting me to throw it out.
I cleaned that fan so the Grizz cabin had that fan.
Yep, that's what the Grizz.
Clean.
That's my new fan. I love it.
Come on. Even the painter buddy of mine that came up there, he said, dude, clean it at least if you just want to get rid of it.
Yep, it's a sweet fan. They don't make them like that anymore.
It's pretty sweet, man. It's pretty 1984. Pretty rad.
That's the year Primus started.
There you go. There's nothing Tim Soya can't do.